Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of The Reclamation. I am Paula Collins, your Magdalene Priestess, intuitive sound healer, and spirituality mentor. And today I want to dive into something that is one of my favorite teachings. It's not, but it is written in books in some way, shape, or form. But it's written more in the fabric of creation. And I like to think about it as the seasons of our soul and what nature teaches us about our own becoming. And that is the four seasons. Now, when we think about the four seasons, they are so much more than just weather patterns or a date on your calendar, because they can be spiritual teachers, almost like a mirror for the seasons that we move through in our own lives. And here's the truth. Nature is never wrong, and nature is never late, and nature never rushes its own becoming. And one of the first lessons that we can take home from this, that we can embody this, is that we shouldn't do that in our own lives either. We live in a world where we are taught to rush, 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 rush. Get it done, get it done, get it done. And all that leaves us with is exhaustion and frustration. Sometimes it leaves us scatterbrained because we are trying to fit in as much as we can into the fabric of each day, into our precious date book. And that's not the way that we were meant to live. That's not the way that we were meant to exist. And as a bonus today, I want to explore each one of these seasons of winter, spring, summer, and fall through the five elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and the four directions of northeast, south, and west, because this all ties in together. And if you listen to my previous podcasts, you know that I already did one on the five elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. But this is how they influence the seasons. And some of them are no-brainers as to what is going to come up for elements. And some may surprise you. Maybe they'll all surprise you. What I've learned is that each season holds a doorway into deeper wisdom. And because of that, each season holds a message that can help anchor you, especially as we move together into winter. So let's get started. And I'm going to start with spring. And when you think about it, spring is this beautiful season of awakening. It's the time when we notice that little green shoots are coming up through the soil. We notice that maybe some animals who may have hibernated throughout the long winter are coming out to take their first breaths. We may notice that the weather begins to get warmer. And depending on where you live, it may get a little wetter. But this is all in preparation. This is all in preparation. And it's preparation for what is to come. It may be a time when you start planting the seeds of what you want to see happen. If we look up about what astrology says, then we know that spring is when the astrological year begins. And so we can look to that as well. The element that is associated with this time of the year is air. And air has so much that we can unpack. And I believe I did that in a prior episode. So I'm not going to go into the long explanations here. But it is definitely associated with air. The direction that it is associated with is the east. And in this season of life, we have these moments of rebirth, of renewal, and new beginnings. And that's part of the reason that we look at it being associated with air, because spring is the season of breath. Everything that has been sleeping starts to take its first breath. I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. And when you think about the directions, we say that the sun rises in the east. So it's this renewal of this new day. So it's a renewal of this new season. And it's the first movements and the first stirrings and maybe the first light. Because if you think about things that are coming out of hibernation, they have been in darkness. They have been sleeping. So there's not a lot of movement. And what they came out of is a time of allowing their roots to grow stronger and to grow deeper, to become more grounded. And so as that happens in the past, this is this beautiful inhale after a long winter. And when you think about it, and I'll get to that later in this podcast, but winter is this time of cocooning, right? This time of going inward. So spring allows us to take that new inhale, to have that rebirth, that renewal, and those new beginnings to look forward to. And from a spiritual standpoint, spring teaches us that you're allowed to begin again. Just because something didn't work out in your last season, that you have this opportunity to begin again. And that no matter how long your winter had been, your winter could be a month, 3 months, a year, 5 years, depending on where you're at in your life. Some of that might have been harsh. Some of that may have made you feel like there was nothing else on the other side. But spring tells us that there's something deep inside of you that still wants to bloom, because it's where ideas are germinating. It's where our visions are forming. And our inner landscape is beginning to thaw. And think about that. Think about taking an ice cube and you place that ice cube on a plate. And if you let it sit there for any period of time, we know that it's going to start to melt. It's going to begin to thaw. And as it does, that ice becomes water, and that water has flow, right? And we can't keep it contained anymore. So think about it that way. And also, your dreams, your desires, they deserve sunlight. They deserve that warmth of the sunlight that's going to help them to grow, to expand, and to give birth to them. And I also like to think about it in another way, that our new beginnings, no matter what they look like, are sacred. Each and every one of them are sacred. It doesn't matter what your beginning looks like, whether it's this really small thing that's starting to open up or this huge thing. It's all sacred because it is yours. And if you remember, and I've talked about this in another episode, you are sacred. So if you are sacred, your new beginnings are sacred. But then there's a deeper truth with this. And this deeper truth is this. You can be in the middle of December, and you can be in your inner spring. So I want you to think about that as well. You can be in the middle of December, and you can be in your inner spring. And think about that for a moment, and think about what that might look like. Because the way our life unfolds in the season does not have to be how nature is unfolding in the seasons, because the seasons can be metaphorical for us. So you might be in the middle, it could be the middle of December or January or maybe even February. And you can have your spring come forth because of where you are on your spiritual journey. Because your inner spring brings new clarity, it brings new ideas, and it brings new chapter in your life. And when we think about that, it's also a season of hope. It's a season of hope because as we are springing forth, as we are being reborn, as we are having this new beginning, the ideas that we have had germinating within us, maybe things that came up while you were journaling, when you were in your season of winter, when those come up, it's this beautiful inner awakening within you. And awakenings give us this renewed hope in what is possible for us, in the directions that we are going, in how we see the world. And when you think about spring flowers, and I'm going to go back to like the ones that spring up first, those little crocuses, they'll break through snow, won't they? I mean, I've seen them in my yard. There's still a little bit of snow and my crocuses are coming up, right? Because they want to see the sunlight and they know that good things are ahead. Good things are here to follow. And their inner clock says it's time to wake up. And that is what spring is all about for us. It's what spring is all about. So our next season I want to talk about is summer. And summer is this beautiful season of expansion. Summer is this opportunity for the seeds that were planted, maybe in the spring, maybe you're a gardener. So you planted actual seeds in the ground, or maybe even little seedlings you planted in the ground. Could be a flower, could be a vegetable, could be an herb, but it's something that you planted. And in the summer, those seeds that you planted grow up and they expand. They expand into something bigger. When you look at a seed, and I was just cleaning out a spaghetti squash the other day. Right, so you cut the spaghetti squash open, you open it up, and you've got this network of fibrous stuff, and it has seeds in it, right? And you look at those seeds. And as you're looking at the seeds, sometimes I look at them and I marvel that that little seed turned into something so beautiful, so much larger in size, and so nutritious for me. So it's this idea of expansion. It's all of those amazing ideas, those visions that you had, your wishes, your hopes, and dreams. It's all about that starting to bloom. You've been working on something in your spring, getting all the ideas together and all of that. And all of a sudden, now you're ready to show it to the world. And the earth outside is doing the same thing. The element that this season is associated with, I'm sure you guessed this one, would be fire, because fire is all about the warmth. And fire is something that can burn uncontrollably or can be under control, right? Fire can cleanse. And if you've ever seen an area that was hit by a wildfire, it's all black and brown and there's nothing there. And in the earth's part of spring, you might see little shoots, but in the summer, there's more showing up. So we have this idea of fire. And then the direction for this season is the south. So things that are below us, like growth, right? When you think about the south, and if you have directions in front of you of north, south, east, and west, south is down here because south is connected to the earth, and the earth allows things to grow. So we're stepping into this time of accelerated growth because fire would accelerate your growth. When you think about your inner fire that lives in your solar plexus, that's your let's get up and do something. It's the motivation. It propels you to do something. So this is about a time of abundant growth. It's about a time of expression. You may have been holding back on something, but now in summer, you are putting it out there. You are being visible. You are showing the fullness of it. And so this fullness of expression, this fullness of growth, this fullness of visibility is something that helps us and says, yeah, I'm in that time now where I am making it happen. I am making the thing happen. I am showing it to the world. I am calling in all of the things that I need for it so that when I am delivering this, it's causing the growth and the expansion in its greatest fullness. So it's a season of heat, of vitality and vibrancy. And it's a season of yes. I know for me, summer is a huge yes, because I love the heat. Maybe not a lot of you do, but I love the heat. I think it's great. And so it's this season of saying yes to the things. Could be the season of your life where you're saying yes. You know, maybe you were in that winter season where everything was a hot no, a steadfast no. But now in your summer, you're like, okay, I can say yes to this because I'm in this season of vibrancy and vitality, of growth, of fullness, of visibility. I want to be out there. and I want to see what's out there. And so you're going to say yes to more things because it's a season where you shine. The fullness of who you are is coming out. And so you are shining. You are so pumped up. You are so full of energy. You are so full of belief and trust. And that is contagious. And so as you do this, you expand. You take more action. You speak more. You move more. And maybe you are creating more. So as you have your thing out there, for other people to see, to join in, maybe you're creating more because you're just like, I got this fire in me and I got to do it while it's here, because it's a season of I am becoming. I am becoming the version of me that I have longed for. I am becoming this person who is so alive and so full of life. So full of vitality. You may even smile more. And spiritually, this season teaches us that your energy, and not just your physical energy, but all of your energy, your emotional, mental, spiritual, the energetic part of you is a force of nature. There is nothing that is going to stop you right now. You're just going to keep going and going and going because your inner fire has been lit in a way that it has not been lit in such a long time. And you are also going to learn that your voice, what you say, how you express it, whether it's verbally or through the arts, right? Creating beautiful pieces of work. Maybe you're a musician, right? Your voice, the way you express yourself, it matters. It matters more than anything at all. And you can't help but make that continue to grow and grow and expand and expand and expand. Because you also come to realize that you were born to take up space. You are not meant to be in this little box that makes you recoil. You were meant and you are allowed to take up space. And so summer reminds us to celebrate the fullness of who we are without shrinking, without recoiling. So once again, the external world may be winter. It may be freezing outside. Depending on where you live, it may be bitter, bitter cold, but your inner summer is alive and ready to move forward. It is blazing. It is blazing in a way that tells you it's time for me to take sacred action. Remember, I said in spring that, I talked about the sacredness of your ideas. And that new beginnings, new ideas are sacred. And here we are saying, you know what? Because of the sacredness of my ideas and my new beginnings, I'm taking action. And my action is sacred. My passion is sacred. My creation is sacred. And you feel your personal power rising in a way that maybe you have not seen in such a long time. And as you watch that happen, as you watch it unfold, it lights you up more. And nothing is going to hold you back. Then we turn the wheel again and we are in autumn. And autumn is this beautiful season of harvest and release. We know that if we look outside, the beautiful summer flowers are in full bloom and a lot of them spread like crazy. Let me know if you understand this one. When I think about it, I have some flowers that it doesn't matter how much I cut them back. They will just keep getting bigger and bigger, right? But you can harvest those flowers and make beautiful bouquets with them. You can go outside and you can harvest your fruit and your veggies that you planted. because they are ready for that. They have taken in all of the beautiful water and the warmth of the sun, and they are ready to go. They're ready to be harvested. And maybe the things that you have put out there and have been so big with, your creations have been so big that you are reaping the harvest of that now in your personal autumns. And it's also this amazing season of release. Because if you think of late autumn, you look outside in late autumn and there are no more flowers growing. Maybe some mums, if you plant mums, there are mums growing, but the trees are releasing all of their leaves. And maybe any flowers that you planted are turning to seed now. They're releasing. It's time for that. The element that we associated with this is earth, because we are celebrating the bounty that this earth has given to us. In fact, in the Wheel of the Year, if you're familiar with that, and the Celtic Sabbats, we have 3 Sabbats that are all about the harvest. We have Lammas or Lanasa, that is August 1st. We have Mabon, that happens between around September 20th to the 24th. And then that's the second harvest. And then we have Samhain, which is my favorite, and that's the third harvest, right? It's the final thing, right? So we have this beauty of feeling so much gratitude for the earth, for what it has given us, and taking the time to celebrate that. Then it's connected with the direction of the west. You know, I said that the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. And think about beautiful sunsets. When we look at those sunsets and the sun is still there, it hasn't gone anywhere yet. It's not completely gone. And we see the beautiful, intensely beautiful colors of the crimsons and the golds and the oranges and the burnt oranges in that sunset, which are the same colors that the leaves turn outside. So we have that direction of the west. And so, as I said, we're in this beautiful season of immense gratitude, of reflection, looking at what seeds have I planted, how have they grown, how am I reaping them now, how am I harvesting all of those? And we reflect. If you are a journaler, this is a beautiful time for journaling. When you are in your season of letting go, of releasing, of completion. Maybe something that you started in your summer is now completing. So maybe you had those moments of 3 to 4 months where you saw all of the beauty of what you created come to life, spring forth, and touch other people. And now it's coming to its end. It's completing. And so we start this very slow journey inward. And it's where we harvest what we've grown in ourselves. And we gently begin to release what can no longer come forward with us, the things that we want to leave behind and say, you know what, I am done with that. That was in the last season of my life. Going forward, I don't want it. I'm going to let it go now. I'm going to let it go now. Because to carry it forward with you would be too heavy. And it wouldn't allow for new growth. It wouldn't allow for new germination. It wouldn't allow for you to start tending to yourself in a way that you hadn't because you were so busy. So it's this beautiful season of 2 things, of abundance and of surrender. And we love the abundant part, don't we? That's one of our favorite things. We love the abundance coming in. Let me have the abundance. Give it all to me. Let me pull in all of the prosperity of my life. Surrendering is not so easy because surrendering says, I have to let this go. I have to bid it goodbye. I can be thankful for the lessons that I learned from it. But the only thing I want to bring forward with me is the wisdom that I learned from it. I don't want to bring the rest of the baggage because that's no longer mine to carry. So we let that go. And earth energy grounds us here in the moment. And it reminds us that releasing is stabilizing, not destabilizing. Sometimes we think about when we have to let something go, when we have to release it, we look at the loss and we take that loss and we internalize it. And we allow those feelings from that loss to weigh us down and to burden us. But if we looked at it as saying, you know what, I am surrendering, whatever it is. It could be, false narratives, conditioned beliefs, old habits, letting those go. That doesn't destabilize us. It stabilizes us because it says, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm letting it go. And as I release it, there's going to be this beautiful thing that gives me space to call something in better, something bigger. One of my coaches, one of my business coaches that I love, and I talk about her a lot, my friend Danny Kenny, she has this saying that she got from a book, and she says, yes, please, more, please, tell me how it can get better than this. Tell me how it can get better than this. So as we release something, we can say, yes, please, more of the good stuff coming in. Show me how my life gets to get better. Show me that. And I always think when I talk about letting go, I always think of the song from Frozen of Elsa. And I watched it so many times when my granddaughter was so little that I smile every time I hear it, right? Because she says, let it go, right? There's no need to hold back now, right? It's not a loss. It is this beautiful sacred return. Just as our ideas and our new beginnings were sacred, just as the actions that we took and our passions were sacred, letting go is sacred because it's a sacred return. It's a sacred remembering of who we are. When we let go of all of the stuff that holds us back, we remember more of ourselves. And this release creates space for what is coming next. It creates space for what is coming next. Because if we hold on to all the old stuff that's weighing us down, that does us no good, and we keep calling in more stuff, there's nowhere to put it. There is nowhere to put it. It will get lost. And as we create space for what's coming next, we learn that completion is our greatest teacher. It's not an ending. Think back to when you were in school, whether it was preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, a course you took online. And think back to a teacher who made an incredible difference in your life. I have a few of those. I don't think that any of them are still alive. They were pretty old when they were my teachers. But these great teachers that made a difference in your life, that showed you something about yourself that you didn't realize was there, and gave you the encouragement and the support that you needed, so that as you moved on to the next grade, you took those lessons and wisdom with you. You completed high school, you moved on to college with the lessons and wisdom that you needed. Or you graduated college and maybe you took a continuing ed. You took all of that wisdom and knowledge from college into your continuing ed, and it became better, became more beautiful. So it's not an ending. It's not an ending. So maybe you're looking outside and it's spring and you see the buds coming up and you see the crocuses blooming and you see little tiny buds on the trees, right? Everything may be coming into bloom or in the heart of the blooming season. And yet your inner autumn might be calling you to reflect, to close something out, or to prune something that no longer serves you. Because autumn is this beautiful, wise teacher of discernment. It's a wise teacher of discernment. And then we move into the season of winter. And winter is the season of deep rest. It is this time not to take action, not to get up and be doing all of the things, but to rest. It's a time where you say, I just need to take time for me and do nothing else at all. Because I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I have done so much, and now I need to turn inward. I need to become more introspective. Maybe there are things that came up that you wanted to release, but you knew it wasn't time to release them. So you need to do more. You need to go inside, go inward into yourself, figure out what else do I have to release so I can heal. It's a time that I'm going to allow the things that are great, that are beautiful, that are wonderful, that I want to carry into my next season. I'm going to give those roots time to get stronger. So you might read books or listen to podcasts on it to learn more so that your roots can get stronger. It is associated with the element of water. And we know that water flows and that it's expansive and that it can rush and it can be destructive. But water is deeply associated with our emotions. And when we do the introspection, when we do the deep healing, we also have the moments of lots of emotion coming up. And that is water. It's also the direction of the north. And if you've ever heard any fairy tales or nursery rhymes, the north wind is probably the coldest wind that there is. And it makes us just want to be snuggled up and be warm and be in a place where we don't have to do anything. That's why. That's why. It can be a season of going into and learning to go into the void and to no longer be afraid of that void, right? Pardon me, my do not disturb was not on. Okay, so we go into the void, and the void is this big space where there's nothing. And that is okay. The void is not scary, because as we learn to navigate it, it becomes something that is amazing. It is something that is life-giving. It is something that says, yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of this darkness, of this time for me to cocoon. And so we welcome that. And winter can be beautiful. I work to try to see the beauty. Like when I look outside, winter is it's the least favorite of all of my seasons that happen outside my house. I'm looking at the snow and the way the snow sits upon the things. It's beautiful, it's white, it's pure. Winter can be very misunderstood. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but it's necessary. This season is so necessary. It's a season where everything looks still. You can go outside and you can be walking in a winter wonderland, and you hear the crunch of every footstep, and you can't hear anything else because the world is so still, it's so quiet. And that's because beneath the surface, everything can be rewritten. Everything can be rewritten. We can change during our season of winter. We can change who we are, how we want to show up in the world, and we can do that really deep work because it is the time to cocoon, because winter is a womb. It's this resting place before the birth. And when you think about it, winter can last a long time for us personally. And if you liken this to a woman who is pregnant, this winter of her body, beneath the surface, this incredible human being is being formed from the first tiny cell all the way up to this fully formed baby, right? And it's not like she finds out she's pregnant and then she has this big belly 2 days later or a week later. It takes time to get there because this little human, cell by cell by cell by cell by cell, is growing. And so it takes a while for her body to show that expansion, to show that the difference of what's happening. And people, depending on how fit she is, how old she is, how close it was to her first pregnancy or a previous pregnancy, she may show immediately, or she may not start showing till she's 5-6 months pregnant. I've seen that, where women don't show very quickly. And it all comes down to our body type, right? And even the baby, now that I think about it, even the baby is in this amniotic fluid, which is water, right? It allows the baby to rest and to move and to do its little flips, right? And to keep it a very hospitable environment for growth to take place. Because water energy invites this to happen, invites the rewriting, invites this growth within us, because it invites emotional healing, release, and gentleness. If we can remember that last part, which is the gentleness. And when we think about all of that, rest is this beautiful act of courage. Maybe you grew up with the notion that idle hands are the devil's play shop or workshop, or that to rest and to take it easy makes you look lazy. No, rest is an act of courage. It says, you know what? I have done so much and my body needs time to recalibrate. My mind needs time to recalibrate. My emotions need time to recalibrate. You may even need to spiritually recalibrate. Taking the time to rest is this beautiful act of courage. Because in the pause, we can become productive. In this pause, we can do the emotional healing and the release we need to do, and do it with gentleness. And that is still productive. Working on yourself is still productive. It truly is. Because there is nothing wrong with you and your need for slowness. It is normal. If you look outside, do you think that the earth is lazy? That it's idle? No. We know that the earth needs this pause so that the trees and the perennials, their roots can recalibrate and get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It's important to remember that. And winter tells us this truth that we forget, that growth often happens in the dark, in the quiet, and in the unseen places. Let me say that again. Growth happens in the dark, in the quiet, and the unseen places. So even if your outer world is in the season of cold, darkness, or quiet, you may be in your inner summer, blooming, your inner spring, awakening, or you may be following what's happening outside and saying, you know what, if the earth is going to rest, I'm going to rest. I'm going to take the time that I need now so I can rest. So many people wait until retirement to allow their inner winter to take place. Winter is not the enemy. It is a sanctuary. And if you look at it that way, it's easier to allow yourself to be there. Now, the only element that I did not mention was the fifth element, which is spirit. But here's the thing. Spirit is this beautiful thread that is woven through all of them. It connects air to breath, fire to action, earth to embodiment, and water to emotion. See, spirit never leaves. It's in every part of every season. And it allows those seasons to flow through your body. It becomes the thread that weaves your spring, summer, fall, and winter together. It's this beautiful reminder that every season, whether it's joyful or painful, has meaning, has purpose, has wisdom. And so if we welcome more spirit into all parts of our life every day, whether we are having the most painful experience of our life or the most joyful experience of our life, all of it has meaning, purpose, and wisdom. And it reminds us that our soul is always held. I feel like I have a cat hair on me. Okay. So let's do a real quick recap of how we cycle through in our lifetime. There's the spring of our youth when we're learning, discovering, and becoming. So you could be in the spring of your youth right now, and you could be 60 years old because you're learning, discovering, and becoming. Then there's the summer of adulthood, which is our time of expressing, creating, and expanding. So you could be 7 years old or 11 years old and be in the summer of your adulthood because you are creating and expanding and expressing yourself. Then there is the autumn of our maturity, and that's where we reflect, refine, and we stabilize everything. And then finally, there's the winter of elderhood, where we are claiming the wisdom, claiming the rest, claiming the spiritual return and our legacy that we want to leave behind for those who come after us. And let me tell you, there are many children who go into the winter of their elderhood very easily, very quickly. Listen to the words that come out of children's mouths sometimes, and you will see the wisdom, the spiritual return, and the legacy. And you will also see a child, when they are tired, when they are done, they will lay down. They don't care. They will lay down, they will take a nap. Yes, sometimes they fight it, but for the most part, they understand that it is time for rest. But what is the deeper truth here? And the deeper truth is that you go through all 4 seasons over and over again throughout your entire life. Go through them over and over again throughout your entire life. So every time you take time to heal, whether that is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or physically, you are healing. And that is winter. And every time you get up and you make this effort to begin again, to have some kind of rebirth in your life, you find your spring. And every time you allow that new beginning to expand, to get brighter, you are in your summer. And every time you shed an old identity, you let that old identity go, you let go of that old conditioned belief or that old false narrative, you enter into autumn. Because life is not this linear thing that we live. It is multidimensional and it is spirals. Life spirals, and it's an ever winding spiral. You are never stuck. You are simply in a season. So give yourself some grace for that. Give yourself some grace for that. And I want you to take a moment right now. We're going to transition into a little invocation. Now that we've learned about these beautiful sacred seasons, let's do a little guided invocation to call them more deeply into ourselves. So if you have a space where you feel safe and comfortable, gently close down your eyes, connect to your breath. Maybe take in a really deep inhale, the beautiful, most fabulous inhale you've taken all day. And as you exhale, just allow your shoulders to drop and to come into presence. Allow your body to soften. Maybe place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly or your lower belly. Allow yourself to feel your breath rise. Allow yourself to feel your breath fall. And allow yourself to arrive fully right now. And as you breathe, in your normal inhalation and exhalation, imagine a gentle circle forming around you, a sacred container of life, of light, safety, and remembrance. And allow yourself to rest into the words that are coming next as we call upon the guardians of the four directions. We call upon the guardians of the east, of air, of spirits of sunrise, keeper of clarity, breath, and new beginnings. Open our minds and awaken our inner spring. We call upon the guardians of the south, of fire, of spirits of passion and vitality, of the keepers of creativity, courage, and expansion. Ignite our inner summer. We call upon the guardians of the west, of earth, the spirits of harvest, of grounding and integration. Guide us as we release what no longer serves and honor our inner autumn. And we call upon the guardians of the north, of water, the ancestors of the deep, the keepers of intuition, of emotion, of rest. Help us as we enter the quiet wisdom of our inner winter. And above all, we call upon spirit, the threads that weaves through every season, every cycle, and every breath. Spirit of one divine source, spirit of living earth beneath our feet, spirit of the sacred human within us, be with us now. May the conversation that we've had open our eyes to the seasons we are living through, the seasons we have survived, and the seasons that are calling us home. May our hearts remember that spring will always return, summer will always rise, autumn will always teach, and winter will always heal. And may we continue to enter each of these seasons with presence, with curiosity, with reverence, and the wisdom written in our own being. And so it is said, And so it is done. Blessed be. I don't know about you, but that felt so good to call that in, to call in every part of that. So if you feel yourself slowing down, if you feel your emotions are rising, if you feel tired, if you feel tender or unsure, you are not failing. You are not falling behind. You are entering a beautiful, sacred space. Maybe you are going into your winter where clarity is born, where healing happens, and where the soul whispers what spring will grow. Honor that softness, honor that quiet, honor that mystery, because this is not the end. This is just a preparation for something that is new. For something that is new. And before we close, I ask you to take one more deep breath in. And I leave you with this. May you honor the season you're in without rushing it, without judging it, and without wishing it away. May the air of the East bring your clarity and inspiration whenever you feel lost. May the fire of the South bring courage and vitality even when you feel dim or unseen. May the earth of the West ground you, nourish you, and steady your steps whenever you feel uncertain. May the water of the North hold you through every emotion and remind you that rest is holy. And may Spirit, the element of pure presence, remind you you are always guided, you are always loved, you are always becoming. Because whatever season you stand in, may it bless you, may it shape you, may it teach you and open you to the next evolution of your soul. Because you are not behind, you are not lost, you are right on time. And as you continue on your path, may you walk with gentleness, with courage, and with knowing that every season carries a gift, that is not there to hurt you in any way, but it's meant just for you. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this podcast, to be here with me. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe you strengthened something that was already deep within you. If you enjoyed this podcast, I invite you to like it, to share it, to leave me a comment where you can find me either here or you can find me on social media at Sisterhood Alchemy with Paula. And I would love to have a conversation with you. Share it with a friend who you know needs to hear this now. It is the most beautiful thing that we can do, is share things that will help uplift another person. So until next time, until we meet again in this space, I am sending you with so much love, with so much compassion, and with so much joy. So until we meet again, bye-bye for now. So much love.